Hi, I'm Catherine, a licensed therapist and a virtual coach, and today I'm answering questions by you guys that were previously sent in. Before we jump in, make sure that you like this video and subscribe so that you can keep up with all of the other videos coming your way. Here's the exact question that was sent in. How do I stop feeling afraid or anxious of relationship changes once we have our baby? Husband is so reassuring, but I know that there's a lot of changes to come and I'm so nervous. So first, a little bit of context. I'm a first-time mom myself. My son is 5 months, so 5 months postpartum over here. It's honestly so wild to me how time flies. Like, I knew that concept before, but living it is wild because it's like 5 months, 5 days, sometimes 5 years. Like, it just is a whirlwind of all of the things. And I totally understand where you're coming from in terms of like trying to prepare and think ahead for the changes that are coming, but then how can you really prepare fully because you've never lived it? And so it's like you only can do so much, but then it's just like an overwhelming amount of things going on. So I really get it because I was just right there. The first thing that I would say is to, one, be encouraged, because the fact that you are even aware of like, I know our relationship is going to change and I want to make sure that we're strong and like on the same page and on the same team. That is huge. You are going to really need to lean on that awareness when your baby comes. And as you guys just get a feel for new parenthood and life taking care of this little one, because that awareness will help you see like, something feels off, like I'm not sure why, but we can figure this out. Like that awareness is really going to help you as you go into it. So I would just really be encouraged that like the fact that you're paying attention to it also shows that probably things are not going to be like, you're not going to wake up one day and be like, I literally hate this man, or like we're total strangers. No, you have this awareness that's really going to be a huge asset to you. And I would also really be encouraged that your husband is so reassuring, because that conveys that like he acknowledges, yes, there's going to be changes and things are going to be difficult, but like I'm on the same team with you. I'm in this to be your cheerleader, your best friend, you're in the middle of the night helper, like everything, because you're both going to need to lean on each other when these relationship changes come so that you can continue to be strong and connected together. The next thing is you need to be practicing some simple truths. And the first one is the reality that like, yeah, relationship changes are coming your way. Some of them will be challenging, but also some of them are going to be so beautiful as you see each other in a new way. And this like deeper love comes as you watch each other be parents and as like you lean on each other, like I said, in the middle of the night. It's like all of those things really deepen the bond between you. So it's just really important to come to terms with like, okay, things are going to change. It does sound like at this point, your brain is focused more on the negative side of it. And when your brain stays in that state, a lot of times the anxiety gets heightened. There's a lot of overthinking that happens. And then you just kind of like spiral and it just feels very doomed. So I would really challenge you to think about what is the narrative right now going through your brain. What does it really sound like? Where do you find yourself spiraling the most? Once you can identify them, there's two things that will really help. One is an internal thing, and then one is more like practical and external, if you will. So the first one is internal, and it's really challenging those internal fears and anxieties and concerns. If you just let them have their way, they are going to continue to grow. Like I said, you're going to spiral. It is really not a healthy place, especially as you're preparing for something that does have a lot of unknowns. You really need to try and ground those thoughts so that you can be as level-headed as you approach all of the things that are coming. It's really important to come up with more positive statements to try and challenge what those negative current ones are. So that's why I said take some time to reflect and figure out like, what does it sound like in my brain currently that is so negative, that's not helpful, that's making me spiral. And then you want to come up with some more positive ones to challenge or interrupt those negative ones so that you can reroute where your brain is going versus letting it continue to spiral in a negative way. So for example, if some of the thoughts sound like I'm just really anxious about what it's going to be, then you can challenge it with, okay, I do validate that concern and that feeling that I have, but I also need to remember that my husband is so reassuring so that we are on the same team and we can figure this out. Like there's nothing that we can't handle together. So whatever that needs to look like for you, but again, identify the negative ones, come up with something that's positive to help challenge and interrupt so that you can rewire the current perspective that your brain is having right now. I don't know if you're a Christian, but this is something that really helps me, is coming up with Bible verses that are really important to the season of life or the situation that's going on. And so you could even honestly Google some of them, like verses to help anxiety, but I would love to share a verse that's really helpful for me personally when I'm feeling anxious, or before when I was pregnant, trying to like wrap my head around all of these changes that were coming. This one is Isaiah 41:10. It says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And for me, that's just really comforting, because like God is with me. He's with us in the middle of nights when they're hard. He's with us when the emotions are everywhere. He's with us when our baby is crying and we don't know why. Like, I am not alone in this. My husband and I are together as a team. God is in the center to help us. So if that's something that would really help and speak to you, I would encourage you to use those as well as challenging thoughts that are more positive. All right, now let's talk about some of those external things that you can do, those more practical things to help. So one thing, if you were saying that you're feeling really anxious, maybe you're anxious about those middle of the nights. I know that I keep going back to that, but sometimes that's the hardest, because you're really sleep deprived and you're trying to take care of this screaming baby, or you're maybe struggling with breastfeeding if that's something you're gonna do. And so if those are some of the concerns you have, bring those up to your spouse very specifically. Where does your brain go that creates this anxiety? And go there now. So I'm really feeling anxious about blah, blah, blah. Talk together. Like, what are good communication skills that you have that you can lean on? What is a code word if you're like, we need to calm ourselves down, that we can say it and we can kind of reroute and it will say like, okay, we need to get back on the same team. Whatever it will be, kind of like pre-think through things that are coming that you're really anxious about. And to be totally transparent, there's probably still going to be times where you just mess up. You say things that you didn't mean to say, and you just have to apologize. You have to be okay to give yourself so much grace right now, or when you have this baby, because you've never done this before. And so it is like a practicing thing. It's practicing being a mom, being a wife and a mom. Like, all of those dynamics are going to change. And like, give yourself grace and the mindset that like, I'm okay to be a learner in this. I can embrace being a beginner and trying to figure this out together as a team, because we can do this together. If something that you're feeling afraid about is not being as connected, because maybe, you know, quality time is a big love language for you, or that's how it is for me. Quality time is my second love language, and for my husband as well. And so you can be proactive right now to go on date nights as much as you can. Do things now that you're like, maybe this would be hard when baby comes. Whatever the things now that you can almost like store up that quality time while it is just the two of you to be really special. Do things that you've been wanting to do, things that maybe, again, would be a little bit more inconvenient when baby comes. And then something else too is, whenever you're ready postpartum, there's never any rush, but try to establish some date nights, whatever that looks like, that's best for your schedule. I know, just to kind of give you guys a personal example. So right now, like I said, our baby is 5 months old, and what has worked best for us is a consistent once a month date night. It's on the calendar. I've communicated it with whoever's going to watch our baby. A lot of the times that's my parents. And so we plan ahead, and we just make sure that all of the ducks are in a row so that we can have this date night and really continue to develop our marriage and our relationship, and that it doesn't fall to the back burner or we lose that connection while we're also learning to be parents and taking care of a baby. I could honestly talk about postpartum things all day long, because it's just so fresh and really near and dear to my heart. So I really just want to say that I do get the concerns that you have. Those fears need to be validated and taken into consideration, but don't stay there, because it's not going to be life-giving for you or your spouse. And so really lean into those things that I said, both internal and external, to help you with this. One thing I will say that was honestly a game changer for my husband and I going into this season of parenthood is we took a lot of time before this season to make sure that our relationship and our communication, how we dealt with conflict, that it was the best it could be, that we were growing in these skills and making sure that we were able to navigate conflict better, so that when we knew that we were throwing in a curveball of a baby, we had something to lean on that would really help us. And so if you're like, we need that as well, we need to be strengthening our communication skills. There's stuff that comes up for us a lot. I'm worried about this specific topic and how we argue about it now, and I don't want it to become even worse when we have our baby. The Relationship Renewal program would really help with that. So this is my program that includes weekly live group coaching calls. It has a video library, a bunch of modules for you, also a workbook. And we cover all the things in terms of communication. We talk about attachment styles, we talk about how to repair if a conversation gets derailed, we talk about the different conflict styles or negative cycles that couples fall into so that you can create a better one. We talk about so many things so that your communication and how to work through difficult topics is the best that it can be. And so if that's something that you're like, I would really love to participate in this, the link to sign up is in the description below. The next groups start in March, so there's just like a little bit less than 2 weeks to join. I would love to walk through this special season with you, relating so much because I was literally just there, and just help you strengthen your relationship and get ready for this exciting season of parenthood. Another resource that would help is the 30-day communication challenge that I have. So what this is, you get 30 days of simple activities and prompts that you can do that will really foster that connection, that love for your spouse, little things that move the needle, that continue to keep you guys connected even if there's so many other things going on, because sometimes we just need someone to like hand it to us on a platter, say do this, do that, and know that it's really pouring into and depositing really positive things into your relationship. So if that's something you want to participate in, the link is also in the description for you. If this was helpful, make sure you like this video, drop any comments or thoughts and questions that you have in the comments, and make sure that you subscribe so you catch the next video. See you guys later.